It's been 7 years since he left The Office, but Steve Carell is now returning to television in an unexpected TV series. What's up, everybody? I'm Josh Meek, the Uber Geek. Welcome to Pretty Dece, your daily entertainment and pop culture show. And yes, Steve Carell is known for Michael Scott on The Office, the bumbling, but you kind of grow to love him manager of Dunder Mifflin. He left that show to go pursue movies, and he's had a pretty successful Hollywood movie career since then. Kind of interestingly, doing a lot of dramas as well, so not the comedic work that he was known for from The Office, but getting really into dramas. Now, however, he's joined the cast of an as-yet untitled show being developed for Apple's upcoming streaming service. So we'll talk about that service itself in just a second, but first let's talk about the show that Carell is joining. He's joining Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, who also hasn't worked in television regularly since Friends ended, so big return for both of them. And the show is about morning talk show hosts, morning news anchors, and it is a drama. So again, Carell getting right there in the world of drama. No stranger to that now after his work in movies. The series, as I said, focuses on these morning news anchors. Carell specifically plays the character Mitch Kessler. He is an established news anchor. It sounds like more of a serious journalist and is trying to figure things out and come to terms with the reality that news just doesn't work how he wants it to anymore. And things are more fun, things are more goofy, more filled with banter, and he's kind of a more traditional, serious journalist. So it'll be interesting to see him portray that role instead of, what we love him for, being Michael Scott. But I think that he definitely has the right chops for it, since that kind of is what he's been focusing on in the movie world. Now, I'm excited to see him back on television, but let's talk about the streaming service that this show was being developed for. Yes, we already do live in a hellscape of splintered streaming services in 2018. I was tallying up how many different streaming services that I subscribe to or use on a daily basis, and it's a scary number, folks, between the stuff that focuses on television and movies and anime and wrestling, which has gotten way into the streaming service game as well. There's a ton of them. And Apple wants to add one more to that list, and they think that you'll bite. They are going to launch it in 2019, the first half of the year. And it sounds a lot like Netflix or Hulu. There's going to be original content like this show we're talking about here, along with kind of third-party stuff that they license to put on the service. In 2018 alone, Apple has set aside $1 billion for original content creation for the series. That's a mind-boggling number that they're going to spend $1 billion on just original shows for their streaming service. Just some of those shows that they've kind of put into play so far that are in the works in various stages of writing or production. We have a multi-year deal with Oprah to create shows. They have new children's shows coming from the creators of Sesame Street. There's a new series from the La La Land director, a new series from M. Night Shyamalan, and that's just to name a few. So they've got some massive names signed on and some kind of interesting stuff in the works, honestly. It seems like they're really going for some things that maybe Netflix isn't doing. They're trying to figure out what they can do that differentiates them. Now, if this streaming service came out and required a monthly fee, I think it would be dead in the water. But the really interesting thing about this streaming service, the thing that is worth talking about, is that it will supposedly be free for iOS device owners. So if you have an iPhone, you'll get this streaming service for free, be able to watch these shows. It's not super clear if this is locked to just iOS devices or if you have to sign in on other devices if this streaming service shows up on those platforms. Knowing Apple, it'll be pretty locked down to iOS devices if I had to guess. But as just a free perk for being included in iOS, for owning an iOS device. First of all, that's crazy value. That's a wonderful upsell if they do actually start putting out some really great original programming. Why? One more reason to buy a generally overpriced Apple device. And it also creates a very serious us versus them situation where people who have bought into the Android platform or just who prefer to watch their shows on devices like Roku or their video game consoles. It's going to be a big difference there, and Apple's really trying to draw those people away and hook them with this kind of loss leader type streaming service that's going to be free up front. And honestly, I'm going to tune in to check this Steve Carell show out because it sounds really good and it sounds awesome. And if they get stuff like that consistently going throughout the years, it could be something that definitely sways people over to Apple's ecosystem of products. So I think generally a really smart play if that's what the service ends up being. So that's going to do it for Pretty Dece for today. Thanks very much for joining me to talk about Steve Carell returning to TV and a little bit about a preview for Apple's upcoming streaming service. If you would like to support this show, you can do so. Visit prettydeceshow.com/listener support to find out those details. And of course, you can listen to this show wherever podcasts are downloaded. Just search for it in your favorite podcast delivery app or platform or website or streaming service, and you'll find us. You can also watch the video version on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/prettydece to find the channel. And of course, hit me up on social media. I love talking to you guys. Let me know what you think about the Apple streaming service specifically today. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Pretty Dece Show.